Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is your mid-July episode of the International Agenda presented by the BJ Show. As always, I am your host, Aiden Barry, and on this week's show, we have Formula E, which I'm going to get into, one of my favorite racing series across the world. We also have baseball, home run derby, all-star game played this week. Going to have news from that, as well as the division races at the 90-game mark of the season, 90-ish game mark of the season. And also we will have more news concerning NBA free agency moves and trades. There's been some big moves in the last couple of days that I want to cover and get that across. So without further ado, let's get straight into this week's episode. It is with the NBA trade news where we start tonight. We have, as I said, two major deals that I wanted to cover for you. First of all, we have the Phoenix Suns have agreed to a buyout of Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal now signs with the Los Angeles Clippers, so Clippers adding another piece there in LA and taking a good piece for that our basically on what we term in soccer as a free transfer or a free agency type of move now. So he's gone to LA. This is going to help LA just contend a bit more. The Clippers, obviously, in a Lakers town, they just need to build assets around that. Bill, I think, good pickup for the Clippers. I think he's someone who I think fits into their roster really well and can really drive that team forward. Phoenix benefits them because now they get off of Bradley Beal and they finally have a little bit more control of their roster going forward. So that's one big contract that they do move on from. Buyout will take place, so that'll come off the cap in this year, and then from next year onwards, they will have more financial control of their roster and be able to make moves. Again, obviously after stacking trades with Beal and Kevin Durant as well. So they've got a lot of options now. They're not tied to their roster as they were at the start of this year, and definitely at the start of last year, start of this year, where they were really tied to their roster for the foreseeable future into the early 2030s. Now the Bill gets bought out by the Clippers. That sees Phoenix have a little bit more control of their roster in the coming years as well. So KD obviously moved to Houston as well. That brings in some pieces and some assets, draft assets as well. So we bring that in. Phoenix now has more control over what they can do in the future. Bill goes to a team that he's happy on in the Los Angeles Clippers, which is great for him. Again, great for the Clippers. I think this deal works really well for the Clippers. You know, not having to give up anything for him. He buys out of Phoenix and he comes down the highway to Inglewood. So Clippers with a big piece as they look to build their future in their new arena in the coming years. Second piece of NBA trade and free agency news is that a couple of weeks ago I talked about how Damian Lillard was waived by the Milwaukee Bucks after suffering his injury in the playoffs. So that Achilles injury would have taken him. It takes him out of this season for definite. He would not have been playing in the 2025-2026 NBA season, Damian Lillard. The Bucks decide to waive him and sign Miles Turner instead. But now we have a new home for Damian Lillard. I am pleased to announce, as a fan of the Portland Trail Blazers, that the prodigal son has come back to Portland. That is right. Damian Lillard, who was traded away by the Trailblazers to the Milwaukee Bucks when he asked for a trade request. Circumstances have changed. Things have moved, and he is back in Portland. Trade not voided. Assets all still stand. So all the assets that the Blazers collected from the Bucks in that trade stay in Portland. This is a separate deal coming off of Lillard being waived by Milwaukee. This has happened in the last couple of days, but he is back in Rip City, and I could not be happier to be announcing this news on the show tonight. It came through to me earlier this afternoon, and I was both shocked but also very happy to announce this news tonight to our supporters and our fans here on the BJ Show that Damian Lillard has returned to Portland. Obviously, as I said, he won't play in the coming season. He will be rehabbing his injury in Portland anyway. That was the plan, but with recent conversations he's had with the Portland Trail Blazers ownership team and leadership group, he's decided that he's going to come back. He never ever moved to Milwaukee at all, so he kind of just was in Milwaukee when he was playing for the Bucks, but was remaining based out of Portland. His plan with his Achilles injury was to rehab in Portland, but now signing on with the Trailblazers, he will be rehabbing as a member of the Portland Trailblazers. And I really don't care what anybody says about Damian Lillard at this point in his career. This is how it always should have been. The 2 years he was in Milwaukee will be a blip on the radar, but this is what it always should have been. Damian Lillard, the Portland Trailblazers are synonymous with each other in the 2010s. He is a Portland guy. He is our guy. He is Rip City's guy. He deserves this. We deserve this. This is what I wanted. I never wanted him to leave, but he is back now, and I could not be more happier. With that said, the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver had a press conference recently in the last couple of days discussing the sale of the Portland Trail Blazers and said that if the Portland Trail Blazers sale is to go through, the NBA prefers that the team stays in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, with the Portland WNBA team coming in as well in the Cup next year or the year after. But with that being said, there has to be, or the NBA is looking at the new ownership having to, as a conditional ownership by having to build a new arena for the Trailblazers, and I believe they're going to be called the Portland Fire, the WNBA team. So a new arena for the Trailblazers and the Fire in Portland. I don't know what to make of this. I think that if you take the Blazers out of Portland, I think the NBA loses that Pacific Northwest market, because we've already seen Seattle go to Oklahoma, and that's worked out brilliantly for them. If you were to take Portland away from the market there, I don't think there's any coming back from an NBA perspective in the Pacific Northwest. We've seen other sports move in there recently. Baseball has a strong hold in that region with the Mariners. Ice hockey, NHL's moved in there with the Seattle Kraken. So the Pacific Northwest is getting a lot more attention from other sports recently, and I just feel like moving the Blazers out of Portland would be a really, really bad idea. It's a team that, I mean, I'm not even, as you know, this is for coming from Australia, but I just couldn't imagine the Blazers with a new name and new colours and a new city. You know, it's Rip City for a reason. It's who we are as a team. We represent Portland. We are the one major league professional sports team in Portland. Second in Portland are probably the Portland minor league baseball team and the Portland Timbers of Major League Soccer, but we are the one real big standout team in the Pacific Northwest in a basketball sphere, and moving us out of Portland just wouldn't feel right to me. But I will keep you all updated on the Trailblazer situation with the buyout, Damian Lillard coming back to Portland. That deal is $3 million, so a pretty decent deal. He's also going to get paid off his Bucks waiver as well, so he'll be making $70 million a year when he's playing as well. So good win for Dame there, good win for Portland there. But we will see what the future holds for Portland and if they are able to stay in Rip City. Next up on the agenda this week is going to be a quick chat about the Formula E World Championship. We have our first world champion or first series champion of a major racing series, world or national, for the 2025 calendar year. So we're going to get straight into that now. Our first world champion for the racing cycle for the 2025 calendar year, and a world or national champion for the racing cycle of the 2025 calendar year is Oliver Rowland from Nissan in Formula E. So Formula E is a Formula series, so it's an open wheel series that uses electric powered vehicles, so real looking towards the future there, and it's a series that I really enjoy watching as well. So They have some great innovations. They use a lot of street circuits, but they also use a lot of proper racing circuits as well. And it's a very enjoyable series. I recommend you watch it next season as this one's coming to a close. But our world champion in Formula E for 2025 calendar year, although this season started in 2024, is Oliver Rowland of Nissan. So well done to him on that win. It's a great win for him. He's been around the block a lot in motor racing. He's a name around. Nissan are a good team as well. Very strong racing pedigree there. Connecting a great driver and a great name in motorsport in this Formula E championship. Oliver Rowland, congratulations on winning the Formula E World Championship for the first World Championship of 2025 calendar year and the 2024-2025 season of Formula E. We now move on in tonight's program to having a look at baseball at the mid-season point. 90-ish games played for each team. All-Star break come and gone. I'm going to have your home run derby champion as well as some All-Star game coverage as well as we look at baseball at the mid-season point of 2025. It's now time that we have a look at the major leagues at the 90-game mark, the mid-season mark of season 2025. Before we do that, though, we're going to have some All-Star game coverage. So we're going to have a look at both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game. So 2025 Home Run Derby was won by Seattle Mariners, the big dumper, Raleigh, leading the home runs at this point. He's got 38 in the regular season to this point, and also collecting the home run derby trophy now as well. So very, very strong start to the year for the big dumper Raleigh, as well as just a phenomenal display in the home run derby as well. Really, really deserving to be your home run derby champion. It's great to see these players come out on All-Star Week and have some real fun. Big win in, well, it's a personal achievement. It is the home run derby. It's something that everybody gets around. All the players get around it. All the fans get around it. Great event to watch. But Raleigh is your champion there. So now we move on to our MLB All-Star game for this season. So this season, we had the All-Star game in Atlanta. This was a All-Star game to be remembered. So we had an All-Star game. It was the American League versus the National League, as it always is. National League had a very, very strong start. 2 in the first, 4 in the sixth to put their 6 runs on the board. Then they had a little bit of a lapse in concentration. Here comes the American League All-Stars set. 4 in the seventh, 2 in the ninth. The game ends 6-6. And now for the first time we go into home run derby, virtual home run derby mode. So both managers selecting 3 players from their respective sides. So 3 from the AL, 3 from the NL to see who is your derby winners. And this year it was the National League winning the All-Star game on virtual derby rules, with Kyle Schwarber playing an absolute blinder in the virtual derby, hitting all 3 of his out of the park and sealing it for the National League before they even got the polar bear Pete Alonso up to have a hit. So National League, your winners in the All-Star game this year. Kyle Schwarber, your MVP of the MLB All-Star game. Before we move on to looking at the league chasers and the division chasers, I just want to have a touch on how good the MLB All-Star game is, and it's because of one simple reason. It simulates baseball. It would be easy for the pitchers to go out and chuck lollyballs and get mashed by the hitters. But no, these pitchers are throwing their game stuff. If they're throwing 97 sliders in games, they're throwing 97 sliders in the All-Star game. If they're throwing 100 plus gas in games, they're playing 100 plus gas in the All-Star game. It is not a joke, even though there's a little bit of banter between players, and it is a little bit more fun when the players get on the diamond and they get between the foul lines. it is one great spectacle because we have baseball being simulated at its highest level by the top players in a fun environment where the game looked real. You could put the MLB All-Star Game out there and you could say this looks like a real game of baseball. It doesn't look like the Pro Bowl where it's flag football these days. It doesn't look like the NBA All-Star Game where it's a bit of a circus and a bit of a joke. 4-point shot zone, players not playing deep, players not this. I guess that comes with the physicality of basketball and football compared to baseball, but obviously players not wanting to get injured in the Pro Bowl or in the NBA All-Star Game. But there is a certain line that has to be met with professionalism and standards. People are coming to see a game, not a bit of a clown show. So holding up your end for the players is very important. These MLB guys, they get that. They put on a real show. Games close, games tight, just like we want to see in regular baseball. So well done to the All-Star participants this year, and well done to the National League on winning this year's All-Star Game. Now we get into the serious stuff. We get into the division races, and we will start with the American League. Starting in the American League East, division currently led by the Toronto Blue Jays, 55 wins, 41 losses, percentage of .573. In second place in the American League East, the New York Yankees, 53 wins, a percentage of .552, 2 games behind, and then 3 games behind is the Boston Red Sox, 53 wins, .541, 3 games behind. So that very close race there. I think the Rays have fallen away a bit, and I think the O's are definitely out of contention this year with all of their injury issues. So I think a 3-team race still in play in the American League East. We're going to go to the American League Central now. This one's pretty much wrapped up. It should be the Detroit Tigers to take it if anything but a bar miracle happens. Tigers leading the division, 59 wins, .608 percentage, 11.5 games clear of the rest of the pack. Twins and Royals both 47-win teams. Twins just ahead by a half game, .490. Royals .485. Then 1 game back of them are the Guardians, 46 wins at .484. Chicago White Sox well off the pace, already 27 games behind by this point in the year. Finally, in the American League West, currently led by the Houston Astros. I think this is their division to win. I don't think it's a certainty like the Tigers, but they've got a strong hold on it of 5 games. Second in that division. So Houston Astros, 56 wins, .583. Second in the American League West is the Seattle Mariners, 51 wins, .531, 5 games behind. And realistically, I don't think anyone else is in that race. Rangers closest back at 48 wins, .495. And the Los Angeles Angels, 47 wins, .490. And then at the back mark is the Athletics, 41 wins, 16 games behind, .418. So the Athletics, still not a horrible year, but not in contention for the postseason. Move to the National League now. We start in the East for the National League. We start the top of the National League East with the Philadelphia Phillies, 55 wins, .573. Very, very close to race, this one between the Phillies and the Mets. I think that's the only 2 teams who can win this division at this point. Mets have played 1 more game. It was a loss. So their record is 55 wins, .567 to be behind by a half game. Mariners, 44 wins, .463. Braves, 42 wins, although that is without having Ronnie up until late May, early June on .442. And the Washington Nationals, 38 wins, .396. In the National League Central, we have another good race between 2 good sides. Currently leading with 57 wins and .594 are the Chicago Cubs. In second in the Central for the National League is the Milwaukee Brewers, 56 wins, .583, 1 game behind the Cubbies. That's the real main race there. I don't think anybody else contends here. Third is the Cards at 51 wins, .526. Fourth, the Reds, 50 wins, .515, 7.5 games behind. And trailing in Wayback Town, in the Wayback Machine, is the Pittsburgh Pirates, 39 wins, .402. So still not below .4, but way off the pace in the division. And finally, in the National League West, leading is the LA Dodgers, 58 wins, .598. Then in second, 5.5 games back. So again, I think this division is going to be won by the Dodgers. not as comfortably maybe as they think. They've been on a little bit of a slope at the moment. They will still win the division quite well. Second is the San Diego Padres with 52 wins, 0.542. In third, 6 games back, also with 52 wins, 0.536 is the San Francisco Giants. In fourth is the Arizona Diamondbacks at 47 wins, 0.485. And in last place is this year's bottom-feeding team, have been well off the pace all year. The Colorado Rockies, 22 wins, 0.229, and 35.5 games back. That is your look at the major leagues for mid-season. We will keep our eyes on them as we go, and we will be going all the way to the postseason with Major League Baseball to keep with some coverage until the rest of the major sports return as we hit the postseason. That is all I have for you on this episode of the International Agenda. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll check in with you all next time.